Welcome to the DC Tweet Team Podcast with Andy Burrows.
This calls for immediate discussion.
Maurice Hawkins.
Are you sure this is legal?
I don't know. It's fun though, isn't it?
And Shelley Jordan.
I'm your huckleberry.
And now, here's your host, Andy Burrows.
Welcome, everybody, to the DC Tweet Team Podcast. And I am your host, Andy Burrows. I'm joined by now 3 co-hosts. Yes, you heard it right. We have Maurice Hawkins, Carl Ronick from the Burgundy Zone, and she's back, everybody. Shelley Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing much better. I'm happy to be back.
It is great to have you. Carl has stood in remarkably well for you, Shelley. But hey, why not have all of us when we're here and talk some Washington football? So let's begin. Big news today, guys. I don't know if you heard, there was a bit of excitement, especially in London. Carl, let's come to you first, buddy. Dustin Hopkins is no longer with the Washington football team. He blew it and got replaced by Chris. You see what I've done there, Carl? You like that? And Chris Blewett is in. My man, what was your reaction to the news? Is it, we were talking before we started recording, is it two months too late, or is it now the right time to start making these cuts? And do you expect more?
It's worrisome just because you don't know how Chris Blewett is going to respond. You know, he's not like a veteran in this league. He's shown that he's capable in pivotal situations to be able to knock field goals through. And that's been the issue with Dustin Hopkins. So I hope coach is right. Somebody asked me today, like, do you agree with the move? And I was like, I can't tell. You know, I'll let time tell that one, to be perfectly honest, because, I mean, I think they deserve that benefit. So we'll see what coach thinks here. But the timing of it, I do think it is a message to all the important guys getting paid pretty well that are getting good reps at the moment to say, hey, you know, the chopping block is now. Coach has now started the watch, the clock, and now we're ready to rock. So you better play well, or things are gonna start looking badly in your favor.
Just quickly, Carl, what do you before I get Shelley and Maurice's opinion on what's happened today, what do you know about Chris Blewett? I know he's obviously been around the league a long time, and for those that might not know, what do you know about the kicker that we've got? It's not easy to evaluate kicking, I get that, but what do you know about what we've just got there now?
He's never kicked in the NFL before. He hasn't kicked since 2016, since he went to college at Pitt. I have an Instagram picture of him I took when I was watching TV back in 2015. Now, this is the worst name for a kicker as he went out for a game winner, but he ended up actually kicking it through. So, look, the kid has a lot to prove. I think he's about 50% from 50 yards or more, so we kind of have to be trepidatious with that. But hopefully it's between the 40s and 50s is where he could be rock solid. I think his extra points were like 93%, if not higher, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got a chance to prove it. Maybe this is a diamond in the rough. We don't know. But coach also said he could do pretty well with kickoffs against the wind. Today in his presser, he said that in practice he was kicking against the wind and he was still doing it 6 yards deep in the end zone, so they know he has the leg to do it.
Yes, I heard that at the press conference today, which we're going to get into it in a little bit. So it was good to hear that he has been kicking into the wind. Shelley, what did you make of the move? We've spoke for God knows how many months now about Dustin maybe getting cut from the Washington football team. It's finally happened, so that will keep the fans happy with it. And I haven't really stayed off social media today for various reasons. But what did you make of the move that the Washington football team made today?
A little bit of a scapegoat move at this point in time. I know fans were calling for it earlier in the season. It's not like he cost us the game versus, against Kansas City, but will it, calm the fan base? Some maybe. I don't know. We have bigger issues other than the kicker at this point in time, but was it necessary? Who knows? Like Kyle said, which I think is a good point. Time will tell. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I thought coach had really dug his heels in and was going to stick with him. Mm. So I was a bit confused because he had never really indicated that he was going to make a move with Hopkins. So I thought we were stuck with him. So I thought if any move was going to come, it would be in our secondary, because that seems to be, the pressing need in my mind. But it's meh. It's to me, it's just whatever. It's meh.
It's meh. It's meh.
It's meh.
Maurice, were you like Shelley? Were you surprised? I kind of agree there. I thought Ron was just going to dig his heels in, and we were going to ride with Dustin until the end of the season. But Maurice, like me, you, and Shelley, and Carl on this show, and lots of people, we've all spoke about this, and we thought it might happen. Did it surprise you that it happened today?
I wouldn't call it a surprise. I think that he made a move. I think there's two things with the move. I think number one, Hopkins has not really been performing to the level that the team and the fan bases find satisfactory. I think that there are a lot of decisions that Coach Rivera made that he probably wish he could take back if he had more confidence in the kicking game, which he did not. So that's number one. And I think number two, it sends a message to everyone on the team that performance matters, and that if you're not stepping your game up and executing, in these games, and you're costing the team wins, then they're going to, part company with you. Looking at you, William Jackson. So
and Landon Collins.
I think there are a lot of players that really need to improve their play on the field, and I think letting go of Hopkins. I mean, it's really, the thing about it is it's a shocking move from the standpoint that Hopkins has been with the team so long, but it's not a shocking move because Hopkins has been inconsistent with his performance. And I think it sends a message to everyone that this is a performance-driven league and a performance-driven team. And Coach Rivera knows that he needs to see improved performance, not just for special teams, but across the board.
Carl, as we all watch football and we all talk about players, and Shelley mentioned Landon there, do you think this is just a start? Do you think maybe later today, tomorrow, could we see more cuts in the Washington football team? And is there anyone out there that you'd like maybe to see come in?
I don't think that we'll see any cuts. I think that what we got is what we got at the moment. I'd be worried about cutting anybody at this point. I think Landon Collins is here for the season. It's just making it work within his strengths and getting him out of situations that go to his negatives, goes to his weaknesses, like out in coverage, out in space. I'll say this all day long, dude. That missed tackle he had on Travis Kelce late in that second half. I know that we got a turnover the next play, but that is unacceptable, dude. Like, you are coming from the sideline zone and you allow him to get back behind you and then to the sideline. At least what you should be doing is forcing him in the middle of the field, keep him in the middle of the field so they have to use a timeout there. And that kind of lack of situational awareness is not okay from somebody who it should be deemed captain status. That should be deemed a veteran, somebody that's been around and knows key situations and has confidence in what he does. I don't see it at the moment. So I don't think anyone's going to be getting released. I think they'll be just going to better ways of finding them to work the best way possible. But if we were to bring anyone in at the moment, there's not many that I can really think of, because kicker was the real pressing matter. But I will say I would not be mad if they brought in Quentin Dunbar. Just as a depth piece, bring in here. He done well in this uniform before. I know what kind of the character issues and everything, but all that law stuff got dropped the last time I checked. And he did well here. And they need depth at corner, and I would not mind that kind of length. And maybe, he could even contribute at safety in times. You never know. So I wouldn't mind to see Quentin Dunbar. I know that's not really a popular thought, but that's just mine.
No, I'd be happy with that. Maurice, coming this coming weekend, we travel to Green Bay. A lot of fans of quarterback talk, as always, in Washington, but it's there for a reason now, because Heineke did have a poor game at the weekend, showed a few glimmers. Do you foresee a change coming 2 weeks before the bye? Me, myself, Carl, and Shelley were chatting just before we started recording. I personally think Taylor's got this game. He's got the next two games basically before the bye, and then Ron Rivera might say, "Hey, look, either sink or swim here." If he does well against Green Bay, and it's going to be hard to be judged in that kind of environment. And I know it's easy to say every team has to go in there and play them at some stage, but he really is going to go into the cauldron. How do you see the quarterback situation, not just this weekend, but even leading up to the bye and after the bye? Is it a case of, hey, perform or you're gone, and Kyle Allen will come in?
Well, it's really what is Coach Rivera's expectations for the season right now, right? So we're in a different environment in 2021 than we were in 2020. I mean, last year, everyone in the NFC East was garbage. So Coach Rivera was able to be Riverboat Ron, so to speak, and it paid off. Winning the division at 7-9. This year, you have a really, top of the NFL Dallas Cowboys team that's running away with this division. So he's not in the same situation. I don't think there's any reason to bench Taylor Heineke until after the bye week. I think you want to see how he performs in these next 2 games. And if he, again, I think if Heineke splits, if he can go 1-1 in these next 2 games between Green Bay or Denver, I think you keep him as your starter. I think that if he continues to perform poorly, erratically, and not really demonstrating, that he can be, the signal caller of the future, then you bench him during the bye week, and then you make a determination if you go with Kyle Allen or you go with Fitzpatrick. I think if Fitzpatrick is fully healthy, you go with Fitzpatrick. If not, then you go with Kyle Allen. But at that point, when we start playing Russian roulette with our quarterbacks, that kind of lets you know our season's going down the tubes. So that's my prediction.
This is the last season we didn't play Russian roulette with our quarterback.
Yeah, right.
2013, 12, I don't know. Shelley, where are you sitting with the whole Heineke thing? Obviously, I haven't spoke to you in a few weeks. How have you viewed his performances? Obviously, we sit here at 2-4. How have you viewed how he's played so far this season?
Well, unfortunately, I feel like he's regressed, much like the entire team has. But I really wanted to see him progress. His throwing has been sad lately. He's always been high and away, like we were discussing. It's frustrating to see. I think the kid's in his head too much, and I don't know what's going on with his arm. If there was something going on, I would think the team would tell the press, but his throwing motion is, something's off. I don't know. But now his throws are wobbly, high and away, in the ground, at receiver's feet, short. I just don't, he's all over the place. And it's sad to see. I really wanted the whole story. I hope they get it worked out. I hope they get it figured out. I don't know. Maybe he's not hitting the gym as much as he was in the off season. Maybe he doesn't have time, but he needs to work on that arm strength, get it worked out. It's just sad. But I
told y'all this was going to happen in the off season. Like, everybody was smoking that Taylor Heineke, crack cocaine. Like, oh, Heineke is the second coming of Joe Theismann. Oh, Heineke looks like Brett Favre. I said, no. He had a good game that we lost. He could look gutsy, but we lost those games. This is what Taylor Heineke is, right? He's a fair to middling quarterback. He's probably a below average quarterback. He's not an elite signal caller. He will never be an elite signal caller. He's playing to the best of his ability. And oh, by the way, I would also question Scott Turner. Is he putting him in a position to be successful playing to his strengths? If you look at Heineke, when Heineke is off schedule, when he's rolling out of the pocket, when he gets a chance to survey the field, he usually makes some good plays. But when you're keeping him contained in the pocket and wanting to go through his progressions, that's not his game. His game is to be, off schedule, rollouts, making plays with his feet. That's when you see the best Taylor Heineke. But again, that's across the board with this team, both on offense and defense. This coaching staff has a style of play that they want this team to play by. And players who want to make plays because they have individual talent are struggling against that, both consciously and subconsciously. And that's why we're 2-4, because they want a system and our players want to be free. And that's the conflict. And I would defer to Kyle on that to see what his thoughts are on that.
I think that is true to an extent, that they're trying to force them into things, and they're trying to gel things out with them. I think we were talking before and how Taylor Heineke at this stage, he almost seems like it's almost like a toddler, because like the coaching staff coming to him and saying, like, we want you to do your best Alex Smith impersonation but still do your thing. But then it literally looks like Alex Smith, and they're like, no, dude, I didn't mean literally. You know, like, I wanted you to be like Alex, but just not make any mistakes. Keep doing your thing, just not make mistakes. Because it almost seems like it's very major in every direction. It's like, dude, just calm down, play your game. And Andy, when we talked, I believe after the Giants game, you asked, you know, is Taylor the franchise quarterback? Did he prove enough to that? And I said no, because for this season, he is the quarterback, but he has to prove that he's consistent every game and be able to show that he is that guy. And we haven't seen it up until this point. Does he have a chance to? I do for the foreseeable future until Ryan Fitz is probably healthy. But I think they're going to keep Kyle Allen in their back pocket until that divisional matchup if they have to, because those are going to be the easier ones.
With hindsight, do you guys think it's any regret within the organization with Ron or the coaching staff that maybe we didn't draft up in the draft, or I know we went in for Matt Stafford? Do you think there's any regrets, or we are, like you've said many times, Kyle, I've heard you on you, we are where we are. You know what I mean? We are where we are now with Taylor, with Fitzmagic, you know, with Kyle Allen. We are where we are. And is it just a case of get through this season and then see what next season brings?
Yeah, I do think that they're probably regretting just a little bit the Matthew Stafford stuff, but I think there was nothing they were going to do to get that done. I think that vacation with McVay out there kind of sold them on it, and it was a match made in heaven, so to speak. But I think Matt Stafford's probably the only one, because if you look at the other QBs in the league, you can maybe say Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence are probably looking the best at the moment. You know what I mean? So I like Wilson a lot, but it's just nobody is really blowing you away at this point to say, yeah, that guy on this team would be dominating with us. And I'm just not getting that feeling. I feel like we'd all be upset that they picked the wrong guy at this point if we had drafted a quarterback. So I don't have any regrets about the draft, but Matt Stafford, I do.
Yeah. Sorry, Shelley, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you going to say?
Oh, nothing. No.
Oh, okay.
Nothing.
Sorry, Shelley. Nothing important.
That's the significance. No worries.
Shelley, I want to get our next subject. We sit here at 2-4. Shelley, I mean, we still in now. I know we also talked at the start of the season how we've got all these divisional games coming at the end of the season. That might now be an actual good thing. Now, I mean, how do, in your opinions, I will go around the room and get everyone's opinion. How do you turn around a 2-4 team with all these games? You know, I know we have Green Bay, the Bucks, the Seahawks, but we still have all our divisional games. We only played one. Let's not forget that we've only played one divisional game. So come that run near the end of the season, and that Giants game could be important coming into the season. Who knows? FYI, I am going to be there. Shelley, in your opinion, how do we turn around a 2-4 season so far?
With our schedule and the way we're playing, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. It's a head scratcher. Honestly.
That seems to be the thing across the fan base right now, isn't it? Everyone's kind of
I mean, because of the way Coach Ron's coming across, because he comes across so stubborn, he seems like it's taken him 2 months just to make the move with Hopkins, and he really felt like he was digging his heels in on that, just to reiterate that. Because I feel like we really need moves in the secondary, and it's not going to happen. So if that's not going to happen, I don't know, what you do. If he's not going to make moves, he's not going to make changes, and he's just going to keep going, the team has no fight with what they're doing. And if he's just going to keep doing the same thing, it's clearly not working. And if he thinks that getting rid of Dustin Hopkins, and if you guys really think that's sending a message to everybody, it's not. I don't think it is. I think a bigger message would have been benching Collins and moving around that secondary. Because
revert to what we had last season, maybe.
An $84 million player who's not doing his job. Getting rid of a kicker is not sending a huge message, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Maurice, stubbornness or patience from Rivera? I get what Shelley's saying, but I'm just trying to think outside the box now. I'm trying to get in coach's head. Is he thinking, okay, fans might call me stubborn? Is he playing the long game here with the Washington football team?
Yeah, he's absolutely playing the long game with the Washington football team. Like everything that Coach Rivera and his staff is doing is building concepts, right? Again, there's there's a particular style of football that they want to play. They want the defense to be ran a certain way. They want the offense to be ran a certain way. They're not deviating from that. They're not making any adjustments from that. And that's the biggest frustration with the fan base, right? Because again, like I always say, like this fan base has no patience. Like they want to win now, right? The coaching staff and the ownership group may have patience, but the fan base does not. And here's the thing, fans have TVs, fans have access to the internet, right? They're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, right? They see the dynamic football that's being played by the LA Rams. They see the dynamic football that's being played by the Arizona Cardinals. They see the dynamic football that's being played, heck, just 40 minutes north in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. That's the kind of football fans want to see. They want to see fast-paced, exciting, big plays, explosive plays. Look, the Washington football team is giving you like this really methodical, workman-like, meandering style of football that really doesn't put them in positions to win games. And that's what's causing the frustration. So, it's like if you're on a car lot and you see a bunch of Corvettes and everybody's driving a Corvette and you're riding around in a busted Chevy Blazer, you're kind of frustrated. And right now we're the Chevy Blazer of the NFL, and fans want to be in Corvettes.
Carl, is this more a case of we've been here so many times, and we kind of sound like we're beating a dead horse here, where, like Maurice said, this fan base is probably like we've seen this movie 1,000 times. We can go back years. We can go back into 2 years that you and I have known each other. We spoke about this. If you're Ron Rivera right now, Carl, put yourself in the hot seat. So you are in charge of the Washington football team. What are you doing to turn this season around and our franchise around?
Just making minor adjustments and establishing concepts that everyone can gel with and get along with. And then it's identifying the actual leaders on defense. Because going to Shelley's point about Landon and benching him being the kind of image that you want to send, the issue being is that because locker room relationships, you'd be maybe ruining some issues or having feelings of contempt starting to build, and you don't want to lose the locker room 6 games into the season. There's a long season. We're going through a rough stretch. You don't want to do that,
especially when you're 2-4.
Well, unless it's like a crucial point where it's literally dire, code red. We need to literally do something now, and I do think that we are almost there, and I do think it's very, very close, and that's what it's the message is being sent with Dustin Hopkins, to be perfectly honest with you. But look, I don't have an issue with the way Rivera is essentially doing things. I feel like they are kind of have their hands tied with what they have. And I trust that they are building because they know that what you see here today is not what is going to be here in a month and a half. They know growth is naturally going to happen. The season is a meat grinder. You never start the season the same way that you finish it. Your team always changes. There's always these things that happen, and there's guys there that you didn't expect, and that there were guys there that you thought you expected, and they're not. So that's going to happen with these teams, and I expect them to really turn this around, start looking a lot better, and hopefully they can do that this weekend against Aaron Rodgers, because that would be quite the
saying that for 6 games.
It's true. I know.
We say that every game, and they can't even tackle.
Nope.
Yeah, you can kind of see why frustration in the likes of us, and we've never played football to any level, but basic things there, like Shelley said, Carl, missed tackles, especially last Sunday against the Chiefs, especially in that second half. Some of them were what you call basic. You teach, like when your son gets to like 8 or 9 years old, you're going to teach him how to tackle on a ball. They, to me, as just a guy on a couch, to quote our good friend Keith, to me just seemed the basics of football, or am I just missing something?
No. It's like, have you ever everyone's played Madden. Everyone remembers the hit stick, right? And if you time the hit stick wrong, you would completely whiff on it. Whatever, the guy would move out the way. Well, they need to start breaking down, because it seems like everyone just continues charging full speed and not being able to change direction if the ball carrier moves. And that continues to be the situation. They need to break down in their stance, and they need to wrap up the ball carrier and just hold them enough time for everyone else to come over and help and gang tackle. Everyone's just not playing together. And everyone is just, it's almost chaotic to a point where everyone's like, running around trying to hit something.
Yeah, I feel like we're saying the same thing for like 10 years. Angles, tackling. And to say it to fall back and say, well, we're in a rebuild year, you need to be patient. No, like that's why these people were brought in. And we were hearing win now. We're in win now situation. That's what he was saying.
I know.
I don't know.
Wasn't that just? Would you say that's for last season though, in a poor division when we were in win now because we were in such a poor division, and it was win now. Maurice, you say it was last year. It was not an easy division to win, but it was there for the taking, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean exactly. I mean what Coach Rivera did. I mean when I look back at it, was the gutsy move because he said, "Hey, I'm going to go for the win now and get this division championship under my belt." So I can have some success to build on for the future. But I remember him saying in a press conference in the offseason, like he said, don't take this division win as an indicator that we're where we need to be. And he was right. So I think, like, I know the fans are frustrated. I get it. Like, they want to win now. Nobody likes to lose. But the reality is they're rebuilding, right? They are rebuilding. Like, again, when you get rid of, and I say this all the time, not saying he was wrong, but when you get rid of your first round quarterback that you're supposed to be building your team around, okay, you go backwards. Any team that does that, you go backwards, right? Look, I'll give you another example. Look at the Detroit Lions, right? They traded Matt Stafford for Jared Goff. What did the Lions do? Go backwards, right? So again, when you get rid of talent, that is supposed to be the centerpiece of your team, that's just like if we traded Chase Young. The defense would go backwards. So that's what happened. So we're rebuilding. I know people don't like it, but that's just the reality of it. And they can say whatever they want to say in the press conference, but at the end of the day, they are rebuilding this team. They are teaching this team to play a certain style of football, and it's going to take time. Okay, I mean, people
want working, Maurice. It's not working.
But see, but it goes back to what Kyle said earlier, and I'm going to kick it to Kyle. I'll let you go, Kyle.
So basically, they were rocking a hard place, right? Because they won the division last year. And Rivera is essentially saying, we are not going to, in his offseason, saying, we are not going to settle for a losing season and say that's a success. We know what we've reached this year. We know that we could get to that. And that obviously is what fueled into this year and the chaotic start that everything is going on. When I say that they're progressing and growing and that the team now is not going to be the same it is later on, what I mean is like as a team and as players, essentially, like Benjamin St-Juste. Right now, he might not be your number one corner, but by the end of the season, he could be the way William Jackson is playing. And then the mental mistakes that they're making are just silly and so stupid to the point where you're like, that has to change. Like, there is no possible way that this is acceptable in any professional manner at all. The way that they're giving up these big plays and that these games are happening with the missed tackles. Completely unacceptable. And it's like, there are mental things that are going along with it. If they were getting boat raced every week, and if we had these bums out there, I would say, yeah, most likely. But I know that these guys can compete. I know that they could play well. Just waiting for that click. And that click can always come, because last season we were doing the same thing at this time. We were flipping out. We didn't think they could beat the Cowboys. We didn't think they could beat many teams at this time. And things happened. Things started clicking, and they started feeling things out. And we're just waiting for that time. And I know it's so stupid to say, and we keep saying it all the time. It doesn't help anything, but it's going to happen. I think that's where the patience is coming along with Del Rio and Rivera basically saying, like, we know what you're capable of. We believe in you. Just keep hammering it out. And it's like, instead of it being a steady incline, it's like a slow, gradual thing that you're seeing. And we thought it was going to be quick this year, but it's going a lot slower than we thought.
They don't put the right personnel in the right positions.
I agree.
In my opinion, to make the plays. And to your point, Kyle, Benjamin St-Juste isn't even on the field enough, and he should be. He should be on the field more. I mean, when you only have him on the field for 12 to 15 plays, and that's my point. I mean, they keep rotating, these players out. I don't understand why they're doing that. I don't get it. And I don't get their schemes. I don't get what they're trying to do. And to Maurice's point, saying they want them to play a certain style, this is what they want. Well, I don't like what they want. I don't like what they're doing. That's my whole point. I don't like what they're doing. If this is what we're going to be doing going forward, I don't like it. I'm not liking what I'm seeing. So they need to change it. So everything you guys are saying, if
NFL
this is what you
NFL fans are not built for rebuilds. Period.
And I will say to Shelley's point, I do think they are making minor adjustments. Like Landon, for example, he played I watched the film and he played a bunch right next to Cole Holcomb and Jamin Davis. So they've realized that he needs to be closer to the line of scrimmage, and they're trying to keep him close to the line of scrimmage. But the fact is that Andy Reid is an offensive genius and finds way to get Travis Kelce and tight ends on him, and then get him out into space on passing situations when they think they're running the ball. And so that's like the whole issue is like, stop playing like that. Like we know you're better than that. Why is that happening? And it's going to happen, Shelley. They're going to have to pull the plug. They're just trying to make sure that it's the right decision first.
Well, I think they're trying to give him enough time as well before they pull the plug. Like I said earlier, I think these 2 games now before the bye, I think after the bye week and with a big run of divisional games coming up.
I don't disagree with you, by the way, Shelley.
Well, I think NFL fans would be, perfectly fine with rebuilds if the coaching staff would explain what they're doing and make more adjustments along the way. And we're not getting that.
I think the definition of a rebuild is essentially just Rivera taking over this team and making it his team, essentially. Like, I don't think it's literally starting from the ground up because, like I said multiple times, this isn't a rebuild. This is a renovation because we had pieces here in Jonathan Allen and Montez Sweat, then being able to start with Chase Young and Deron Payne, Matt Ioannidis.
The foundations are there. We just need to build around it.
Exactly. And so, like, it's not a rebuild. It's a renovation of Ron Rivera's doing, where he is the planner of how the house is going to look, essentially.
My argument is
taking longer.
Sorry to cut you off, buddy. We can't keep saying, to use the term rebuild, we can't keep doing that for say a season and 2 seasons and going, no, it's not working, next. And then another coach comes in and another defensive coordinator and another special teams coordinator. And this might be where the hardship for us fans really, really does come in, because like Maurice says, fans aren't patient. We want to win now. Unfortunately, we might just have to bite the bullet here. And even it's hard for us. I mean, I'm my own worst enemy on game day. I get steam coming out my head because you care so much for this team. But the last couple of days, and Carl, I listened to your show this week. I listened to Keith and Jesse. And you know what? I listened to your guys' words and what you were saying. And I actually took a step back and thought, you know what? These guys are right in what they've been saying for ages now. And if someone as passionate as me is now finally thinking, do you know what? Yeah, still get frustrated on game days. I'll still get frustrated when Landon Collins doesn't turn around and find the ball, or we miss tackles. Yes, but then take it 2 steps back, 3 steps back, and go, hey, do you know what? If Ron Rivera is still doing this in 4 seasons, 5 seasons time, then you'll be like, okay, hey, this has gone on long enough. Right. But what do? Do we get rid of the guy at the end of this season? And someone else comes? Exactly. But I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is we have to. And I know Marie says NFL fans don't want to wait. We haven't got no other choice. We either wait and let him try and build something here, put the building blocks in place and build something, or we'll just do a Washington and we start all over again. Sorry, Carl, go on, buddy.
No. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to like settle with mediocrity. Like, you don't have to look at this and say, yeah, it's fine that they're playing crappy. I don't think anyone should.
No.
All I think Andy is saying is stop talking about firing Scott Turner, Jack Del Rio, and Ron Rivera halfway through the season. Let this thing play out. Essentially, is like,
who'd you bring in? Okay, we fire Ron Rivera tomorrow. Who's coming in to coach the Washington football team?
Right.
Nobody.
Not Ron Rivera, but Jack Del Rio. The way the secondary is really bothering me.
And that's the issue, is because who would be taking over defensively would be Chris Harris, who's the secondary coach. And so that's the big issue, is like
out of the frying pan into the fire.
Well, I'm not saying in the middle of the season. I'm just
a lot of fans are. A lot of fans are.
The lack of communication bothers me. Hearing the same thing over and over again, I think, is what has the fans frustrated. It's the same song and dance over and over and over again.
I will say Ron Rivera does have a good point, and I think that I won't ever question his reason for being short with the media and being stubborn the way he is, because essentially every single question is energized and is used to make a headline, to make them and portray them as bad as possible. So at one point you just get tired of it, and you're just like, look, man, screw you. You know, like, I don't care.
Carl, you've done my segue for me, my man. To end up this show, I tweeted it out the other day. We're good. The media, and I'm going to lean on Maurice, Shelley, and yourself here. You guys are over there. What role are the media playing? I mean, I'm posting my podcast on. I think Maurice has got to jump off now because he is at work. Maurice, we appreciate you, brother. I've jumped off all social media at the minute because the media and what's going on with this fan base is just driving me crazy. So I'm still on there posting our podcast, yada, yada, yada. But it's just got to me the last few days. I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm reading, Carl, Shelley, what role did it, in all the years we've gone in this Washington organization, and it's a frustration, like Maurice says, we want to win. We want to do so well as a fan base. What role between the organization and the fans did the media play in Washington, D.C.? I'm going to lean on you guys for more because I only get mine from social media. You guys are there. All right, we've spoken to people on this show. We've been very fortunate. But Carl, is there something that even the media side of this could help the Washington football team? Maybe helps the wrong way, but it always seems like a battle in Washington. Or am I just misreading the situation?
If you don't mind, I'll let Shelley go first.
Go for it.
Oh, damn you, Kyle. It depends on who you listen to. It honestly depends on who you listen to. I try to filter it. To be honest, for myself, I've learned to filter it. But I don't know. Yeah, the media, the DMV sports media, it can be brutal, but I've heard, it's tougher in other markets. So I've actually heard that it's worse in other places.
That was going to be one of my questions to you guys. Obviously, I only see the Washington. I don't pay attention to the Raiders or the Ravens.
I grew up here. So this is what I'm used to. So I really can't speak to other markets. But I've heard from other fans that ours is tame compared to theirs. So I can't speak to that because I haven't lived in other places. But so that's hard for me to believe because I've seen ours in full force. But it is what it is. I mean, we've had over 20 years of a lot of drama with Dan Snyder. So with that said, they've gone in on him, off the field stuff, and Bruce Allen, 11 years of that stuff. So I don't know. It sells. Stories sell.
I appreciate everyone has to do a job, and I can only
any kind of aspect of it, the off the field stuff, when it kind of takes away from the football aspect of it.
Yeah,
so,
I tweeted out this
filter it of who you want to listen to. I think that's why
that's pretty true.
Gets more respect out of everybody because he kind of keeps it more real, in my opinion. But
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I get most of my information from podcasts. I listen to Carl. I listen to Keith. You know what I mean? I've learned that over there. I've learned that since podcasting. I'd rather
for my mental health, and I think the Post has kind of gone in on more of the. I don't know. I don't know.
I can only equate it over here. Our national media go in on our soccer team, our national team. My God, when they're great, excuse me, just dying. When they're great, they're all in for them. But when they're bad, you could see a player in a bar, in a club, it'll be front page news over here, and they'll go all in to destroy that person. And then that person goes and plays really well in our Euros that's just gone in, Raheem Sterling. And he's like the King of England. I mean, Carl, is that something that in Washington could the team and the media work closer together? I mean, I've seen so much going around on social media maybe at the end of last week, the start of this, regarding the media going in and why wasn't Jason Wright seen on the field for this Sean Taylor ceremony? Again, why is Dan Snyder dressed up like a hobo? All kinds of stuff. And I think I messaged it out on Monday, and I listened to you guys. And I've said, me personally, I've kind of just stepped back from where that, because I can't affect anything there. I can't affect anything. It's ruining. And I said this to Shelley in a private conversation yesterday. I'm letting that side of the game ruin my fandom. I'm getting too caught up in he said, she said. I'm getting too. It might now be the time, and you know, Shelley won't mind me saying this. I said this yesterday to her when we were chatting. Now might be the time just to sit back and just watch a game on a Sunday and enjoy it. But is there something that is between the team and the media? Is there a way of bridging that gap? Because it just seems very toxic in Washington at the minute. I know that's probably a word we've used for years, but it seems now more than ever, Kyle, if I'm honest, my friend.
Well, it depends on what you think, like what we classify media as, right? Because the media is supposed to be the intermediary for the public in being able to translate and be able to ask the questions that we are asking to be answered because that we want to figure out. But along the lines, that line has been blurred, and it has become the media kind of doing their own self-prophecy, their own self-fulfilling kind of thing. And I do think that I remember distinctly when Dan Snyder had owned a 980, and everyone and their mother complained about how he was directing the information coming out of there. It was nothing bad about Snyder, you could say. But I think it's very sketchy that the newspaper that it goes in and asks questions, it is the most hard, like Shelley said, most hard hitting on Snyder, is the one company that's owned by a guy who had a vested interest in buying the team. And so I do think that there is coinciding some issue being there, because things can be very negative. And I do think it's very different than other markets in that aspect where there's so much contempt for this owner where every question is energized, not in the sense of where in other markets, they're just directing about football. Like, why did this play suck, blah, blah, blah. But
that
in
is
this
very
market,
true. Very true.
You're asking questions about a lot of crazy stuff going on, and you don't want to have to deal with that kind of craziness. And then with Jason not showing up on the field, that's respectful, in my opinion. It wasn't like him trying to hide next to his mistake. It wasn't like him saying, like, oh, yeah, I did this. Let that be about Taylor. I don't need to be involved with it. That's about Sean Taylor. I shouldn't be even in the thought process with all this. I don't want to be seen as like a prize for being here, essentially, kind of thing. Like, and that's I respect that and that mindset. But it does go to the point that literally, because Twitter is especially, I think that we have as a community have built something so beautiful to the point where the media is not necessarily needed anymore. And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be like confrontational or anything like that, but Twitter and what we do has essentially erased their necessity for things, because we can write, we could tweet, we could do film breakdowns, and we can translate to the fans, and we can ask questions that the only difference is they have access to the games, they have access to coaches, they have access to players, and they can ask questions that we can't. And that's just the only difference at the moment. But it's all based on what you think the definition of media is.
Like I said to you earlier, Carl, I get a lot of my information. I listen to podcasts. I listen to you guys, Carl. I listen to you, Hall, Reed. I listen to Keith. I listen to Parker. I listen to Rio. They're my guy. You know what I mean? Because to me, that's real. You know what I mean? That's speaking from a fan. They're not getting paid to do this. You guys do your part. You give up your own time. We're giving up our own time right now. You're in the USA. I'm over here in the UK, and we're just here. It would be great. And I mean, I've said this yesterday to Shelley, just to be a fan for a little bit. I think everyone, I mean, I know a lot of people listen to this, and I think, guys, everyone seems to be getting caught up in this Twitter drama, all behind a keyboard, tapping away. Just remember, we're all fans of a football team here. We all love just watching football. Yeah, we'd all love the Washington football team to go out and win a Super Bowl and make a playoff and yada, 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 and have an amazing owner who we all love. And the world isn't perfect like that. And if I've seen anything in the last 2 to 3 days on social media, toxic's probably the wrong word. It says there's a hatred forming that I don't like. You know what I mean? We're a fan of a sports team. Sport. It's a hobby for all of us. You know, yes, grown men get paid millions of dollars and pounds to play it all over the world, but this is a hobby for us guys here on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Every now and again, just remember that we're all here for the same purpose. When you're having a go at someone for their way they fan or I fan, you know, I've disagreed with Carl before. He's disagreed with me. Does that make him wrong, me right? No, it means the world would be really boring if both of us went, actually, Carl, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's really interesting, man. That's right. We're not going to talk about anything else. You know, I might think that a certain quarterback is good. You will disagree and we'll talk about it and go, hey, Carl, that was a really good discussion. Let me go buy you a beer and we'll talk about something else. That's how, for me, that sport should work. At the minute, from what I'm reading, what I'm seeing is far, far too toxic for me. And I'm having no part of it. Hence why I said earlier, you know, I'll be posting my podcast on Twitter and stuff. But apart from that, I'm just going to try. I said this to Shelley. Yes, I'm just going to try and be a fan of this Washington football.
I know. It's exhausting. It really is.
It's exhausting.
Sad to see. It's sad that we can't say Redskins anymore. It's sad that our history is erased. You know, that aspect of it really makes me sad. It's sad that it's become so politically correct that I don't even know. I mean, when we interview alumni, is that becoming so politically correct that we can't?
You can listen to Doc on Carl's show. You can still. He's very passionate about the history, about everything. He's never. I don't think he'll ever lose that passion. I don't think the alumni.
Well, I'm tired of getting attacked.
Yeah,
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I just think. I think there needs to be more respect out there in the community for it because it's part of our franchise history, and I think people just need to calm down. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
and
no,
please don't come at me, anyone.
That being said, Shelley, that was such a good point by you because the end point of what you were saying is essentially people should stop caring so much about what others think and say.
Yeah, just be you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just and at the end of the day, I mean, everyone is going to have, and like Andy said, you fan the way you want to fan, you fan the way you want to fan, and everyone have your own opinion. And if you don't like something that somebody says and you see it on Twitter, keep scrolling. You don't have to show up for every
don't have
fight.
to engage with them with a thread of like 35 comments. You know, it's just keep scrolling, guys, man.
It's not worth it. It's not worth your energy. It's not worth your inner peace. It really isn't. And it's not worth putting it out there. And I've been guilty of it in the past and I've learned from it. You know, and it's not worth my inner peace.
I definitely have the last few days. I definitely have the last few days. Shelley, Carl, let's wrap up this episode. Let's finish with some football. Carl, we play the Green Bay Packers this Sunday. Tell me, my friend, how in God's green earth are we going to win this game? Are we going to pull something out of the hat here, Carl? We're going to win on Sunday, my man. You're the man of optimism. You always have been, my buddy. How are we going to win this game come Sunday?
But first, I just want to say Adam Schefter just tweeted out that Green Bay is going to be wearing their 1950s throwbacks for this game against us on Sunday. So
not many worse than our throwbacks from last weekend. I'm not going to lie.
I think those are the blue ones, if I'm not mistaken. They're like the hard, I think it's like navy blue, if I'm not mistaken.
Blue?
I think so. The Packers have like a blue one, if I'm not mistaken, for an old one. But how can they win this game? It's essentially, it starts in one area, and that is getting to Aaron Rodgers. And secondly, it's committing to the run because you have to be able to limit their points early on for you to be able to control the clock by running the football. The worst thing that could possibly happen is for Aaron Rodgers to go down the field, score 21 unanswered points to start the game. We have to abandon the run. We have to throw. They're in passing situations, and then our defense is guessing for the rest of the game because they don't know if they're running or passing based on the situation. Because why would the Packers run on third down in the second quarter when they're up by 4 touchdowns, on third down? They're going to throw the football. You don't know when that's going to happen at that point. They have to be able to get to Aaron, get off the field, limit those points early on so the running game can continue to gel in because Taylor needs play action. When you take away play action from Taylor, he makes mistakes. And against this Packers secondary that are ball hawks, you can't do that. So if they're going to do it, those are the 2 areas. What's my prediction? I said 31-30 last week. I'll go 30-24. I think they pull it out.
That's close, Kyle.
That is a 24. Shelley.
It's Joe Barry's our D coordinator, okay? I don't want to. You got to leave the possibility open.
Shelley, how did the Washington football team get that W come Sunday and turn our season around?
They don't.
Oh, brilliant.
They don't. Rodgers again is gonna say, "I fucking own you." Yeah, he's gonna say it again. He laughs when he.
I hope he does, so he can come play for us next year.
Oh, could you imagine that, Carl? Don't tease me like that, Carl. Could you imagine, Carl? I'd have him. Aaron Rodgers. No Washington fans turning down Aaron Rodgers. Anyway.
She was saying he wouldn't want to come here.
Oh no, you've got no help. He won't want to come. But we want him, Carl. But he's gonna.
Right.
Well, no, of course we want him,
but Shelley, come on. There must be. If you had some glimmer, Shelley, humor me. I haven't seen you for a few weeks. I've spoke to you, but I haven't seen you. Just humor me. How could the Washington football team pull something out of the bag here? Could there be a miracle somewhere?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt and he doesn't play. I'm being real with you.
I know, I'm teasing.
Because look, our biggest problem is we may not have our running back. I mean, he's hurt, so he may not play.
He didn't practice today.
Might be out. He's got the shins.
Terry's struggling as well. He didn't look 100% on Sunday.
Yeah,
I think Carl said before the episode when we were chatting, something doesn't seem quite right there. Is it? I know they need him, and is it kind of the fact that we're kind of rolling him out onto the field, and he really shouldn't be there? But if we don't play him, then oh my God, we really are.
Our run game is going to be struggling, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Taylor may not have that to fall back on, so Taylor's going to be struggling as it is, and he was struggling last game against a really bad defense. So I don't see it happening, guys. I mean, I'm being real with you. I don't see us winning this game. I see Rodgers laughing, having a good old time, just acting like it's not going to be good. I'm being real with you guys. But
my heart says one way, my head says I'm with Shelley, and I could be sitting there on Sunday behind my hands watching it, But
hey, he has a really bad game. I don't know.
I do have a superstitious thing about me, man, with the whole Vince Lombardi thing. For some reason, because Vince coached for us too. For some reason, I just feel like we play better up in Green Bay. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but we play so well up there. I don't get it. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Just like getting a quarterback in Washington doesn't exist. Same thing.
No, it doesn't. Anyway.
We are damn lucky we won these 2 games that we won. Yeah. I mean, we could very well be 0-6.
Yep. Shelley, I've had a bad enough week. I'm joking. I'm joking with you, woman.
Like, that's a rip. Yeah.
No, we were 2 flags away from the Giants game. They had a turnover touchdown in the end zone. We should have lost that game.
Hey, but at least we can now say that one of those wins was should have been an easy, fine victory. Nobody would be making excuses about it against the Giants if it wasn't for the guy that we just cut.
Yes, very true.
If he would have knocked that through, that was a hard-earned victory, and everything is cool. But literally, because of that missed field goal, everyone views it up as an excuse, and it wasn't a great victory. But they earned it, man. Yeah, just Dustin Hopkins, bro. What happened?
Shelley, it's been great to have you back. I'm glad you are back on the.
I'm glad you are.
Glad you are back to talk some football. And hey, Shelley, I like these Wednesdays with Carl. Maybe we could just keep him. Maybe the Burgundies won't even notice.
I don't know if Kyle will let us keep him, but can we keep him?
Yeah, we can keep him. Maybe I'll put in a trade request with Maurice. We can get him on waivers or something. We can sort something out, Shelley. But Carl, thanks so much, buddy. It's been great chopping up with you, my man. Shelley, I'm glad you are healthy. I really, really mean it. I know all our listeners, a lot of people have reached out to you and wished you good health. So I sincerely
thank you. And thank you, Kyle, so much for filling in. I really appreciate you.
Of course, you so much. Want to make sure you're doing well. When Andy comes asking for help, he's always been there for me. So I'm always there for him, man. Anytime.
Always there for you, brother. I pray to God that I get to hook up with you guys in New York in January. Yeah. Just saying, the DC Tweet team are finally, me and Mr. Hartley are getting on a plane and we're heading over to the Giants game. But
gotta meet up.
We will sort something out, my man. We will sort something out. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been the DC Tweet Team podcast. I have been your host, Andy Burrows, with Maurice, Carl, and the amazing Shelley Jordan. Welcome back, my friend. Till next time, everybody, stay safe.